Imagine this. You're at the airport, excited about a trip you've been planning for months. You get through the check-in line, hand over your driver's license, and the TSA agent just shakes their head. Your ID is useless. Your flight leaves in an hour, and panic sets in. This isn't some far-off nightmare. It's happening to thousands of travelers right now. Air travel is going through a massive tech-driven overhaul, and the changes for 2025 are already rolling out. We're talking about a world where your face is your boarding pass, invisible scanners track you from the ceiling, and one tiny mistake on a mobile app could ground your entire trip. These aren't minor tweaks. They're fundamental shifts in how we check in, clear security, and even board the plane. And here's the truth. Most people have no idea what's about to hit them. In this video, I'll break down the 12 most critical updates you need to know before you book a flight in 2025. Stick around until the end because some of these changes aren't coming soon. They're already here. So let's kick things off with the issue causing the biggest chaos in domestic airports right now: the Real ID. For years, the deadline was delayed. First because of logistical problems, then because of the pandemic. It seemed like it would never actually happen. Well, now the grace period is over. TSA is enforcing Real ID with zero exceptions. No sob stories, no last-minute favors, no sweet-talking your way through. Every single day, travelers are being stopped cold at checkpoints because their old driver's license just isn't valid anymore. Here's what you need to do. Grab your wallet and look at your license. You need to see a specific symbol, usually in the upper right corner. Most often, it's a gold star or sometimes a black star inside a gold circle. If your license doesn't have that star, it won't get you on a plane. And here's the kicker. Some states are lagging far behind. Oklahoma, New Jersey, and Oregon, for example, still have massive numbers of residents carrying non-compliant IDs. For them, it's a disaster just waiting to happen. Staff are already reporting that nearly half of travelers at TSA lines still don't have the right ID. Think your valid license works just because it isn't expired? Think again. Real ID requires enhanced security features that connect to federal databases. To get one, you have to appear in person at the DMV with a pile of documents: your birth certificate, social security card, and at least 2 proofs of your address. So what happens if you don't have one? There are backups. A valid US passport or passport card works just fine. Military IDs and other federal credentials also qualify. But if your only photo ID is a non-compliant driver's license, your trip is over before it starts. The reality is staggering. TSA officers are reporting a 300% increase in denied travelers who thought they could argue their way through. Spoiler alert, you can't. This isn't optional. It's a federal mandate. If you've been following travel blogs, you've probably seen the headlines: ETIAS launching in 2025. Here's the truth. They're wrong. The European Travel Information and Authorization System, or ETIAS, keeps getting delayed, and most of the websites simply haven't updated their facts. So what is ETIAS anyway? It's not a visa. Think of it more like ESTA, the pre-travel authorization system required for visiting the United States. ETIAS is designed to screen travelers from visa waiver countries before they arrive in Europe, adding another layer of border security. When it does launch, you'll need it to enter all 27 countries of the Schengen zone, plus Bulgaria, Romania, and Cyprus. That's a total of 30 countries. So why isn't it active yet? The short answer: technology. Coordinating the databases, protocols, and IT systems of 30 different countries into one central platform is a colossal challenge. The infrastructure just isn't ready. Official sources are now pointing to late 2026 as the new start date. When it does roll out, applying should take about 10 minutes online. The fee is set at €7 for adults, while anyone under 18 or over 70 applies for free. Once approved, your authorization is valid for 3 years or until your passport expires. Most travelers will be approved instantly. But here's the catch. If your background check raises even a slight red flag, approval can be delayed up to 96 hours, and in rare cases, even longer. And here's a detail most travel sites don't tell you. You'll likely need to submit proof of your first accommodation, a return ticket, and possibly even proof of sufficient funds. It's more involved than just typing in your name and passport number. Now keep this in mind. Once a firm launch date is announced, scam websites will pop up overnight, offering to process your ETIAS for an inflated fee. Don't fall for it. Only use the official EU website when the time comes. So what's the bottom line? You've got a little more breathing room than you may have thought. But you also have a new layer of red tape coming your way anytime you plan a trip to Europe. Get ready, because this change is already happening, and chances are it's happened to you without you even realizing it. Facial recognition scanners are now active in more than 85 airports across the United States, and they automatically scan every passenger approaching the TSA podium. Here's how it works. As you hand your ID and boarding pass to the officer, a small camera on the counter captures a high-resolution image of your face. In seconds, that image is compared with the photo on your ID using biometric matching technology. The goal is simple: to catch fake documents and confirm that you really are who you say you are, faster and with fewer mistakes than the human eye. TSA claims the data is deleted within 24 hours, but privacy advocates aren't so confident. They're asking tough questions about how the data is stored, who can access it, and whether every airport is following the same rules. The scanners are deliberately subtle. They look just like old-school ID verification stations. Most people don't even notice the camera. They hand over their license, glance up at the officer, and unknowingly consent to a facial scan. The screen flashes green and they're waved through. But here's the part you need to hear. You can opt out. This is not mandatory. The catch is that you have to speak up before the scan happens. As you step forward, say clearly, "I'd like to opt out of facial recognition." The officer will then verify your ID manually, just like they always used to. It may take an extra half minute, but that's the price of safeguarding your biometric data. Once that camera clicks, there's no undoing the scan. And it's not just the United States making changes. If you're planning a trip to the United Kingdom, there's something new you can't afford to ignore. The UK has quietly rolled out its own travel pre-clearance, called the Electronic Travel Authorization, or ETA, and airlines are strictly enforcing it. No ETA? You're not boarding that flight. Period. What's surprising people most is how strict the system is. Even if you're just passing through Heathrow on a short layover, say 90 minutes on your way to mainland Europe, you still need to have the authorization, no exceptions. That makes fast connections risky. If your ETA is still pending when you board, you could miss your onward flight. The application costs £16 and can take up to 72 hours for approval, sometimes longer during peak travel periods. You'll apply online using your passport, travel itinerary, and by answering security questions. While many approvals come through in just a few hours, there is no guarantee. Airlines are plugged directly into the system and verify your ETA before you even set foot in the airport. And don't make the mistake of thinking global entry, TSA, PreCheck, or any other trusted traveler program can substitute for it. They don't. ETA is a separate requirement and applies to everyone. The good news is that once approved, your ETA is valid for 2 years and covers unlimited entries. If a UK trip is anywhere on your horizon, it's smart to apply well in advance. Because in this new system, waiting until the week before simply isn't an option anymore. That sleek, high-tech suitcase with built-in USB charging and GPS tracking might feel like the ultimate travel upgrade. But it could also spark a major headache at the check-in counter. Airlines are cracking down hard on smart luggage because of one big problem: lithium-ion batteries. Those batteries power the charging ports, digital locks, and tracking systems inside the bag. But in the cargo hold, if a battery gets damaged or overheats, it can spark a fire. And in a pressurized cargo bay, that's a catastrophe no airline wants to risk. Airlines like Delta, American, and United have already trained their staff to spot these bags. At check-in, they'll ask a key question: does your bag have a battery, and is it removable? That single detail decides everything. If the battery can be easily removed, you're fine. Pop it out, keep it with you in your carry-on, and check the suitcase as normal. But if the battery is built in and non-removable, you will not be allowed to check that bag. At that point, the only option is to carry it on. Imagine planning a long trip with a full-size suitcase, only to be told you can't check it. You're left scrambling. Either abandon the bag or try to cram everything into a smaller carry-on. The smart move is to prepare before you pack. Dig out the manual for your luggage and confirm whether the battery comes out. If it does, keep a tool handy, like a small screwdriver, in an easy-to-reach pocket. That way you can remove the battery in seconds at the counter and avoid delays. Now let's talk about Clear, the paid service that promised ultra-fast, touchless airport security. For $189 a year, you use your fingerprints or eyes to skip ID checks completely. Sounds great, except lately, members have been running into a new surprise. Security officers are asking to see physical ID anyway, even after the biometric scan. The TSA has quietly introduced a dual check system. Why? Because while biometrics are powerful, they're not flawless. Poor lighting, system glitches, or a fuzzy scan can trigger errors. Rather than hold up the lane, officers are now doing random ID spot checks, especially at the busiest hubs during peak hours. Travelers are encountering this most in Atlanta, Los Angeles, Denver, and Chicago O'Hare, usually during morning and evening rush periods, Friday afternoons and Sunday nights being the worst. It's frustrating when you've paid a premium for speed, but the process still stalls. The good news? Even with extra ID checks, Clear is still faster than the regular line. A Clear screening, even with a backup check, takes about 90 seconds. Standard security can easily take 15 to 30 minutes, or longer. The takeaway: don't ditch your real ID just yet. Those golden days of breezing through without pulling out your wallet are over. But while some rules add hassle, this next update is all about speed. At select airports, you can now check your luggage using nothing but your face. Here's how it works. At a self-service kiosk, you look into a camera. In half a minute, the system matches your live photo to your passport, or ID on file, pulls up your flight details, and prints your bag tag. No fumbling for your phone, no scanning boarding passes. Just tag your bag, drop it on the belt, and go. The trick is this: you have to consent in advance. During online check-in, you'll see an option to opt into biometric processing. If you skip it, the fancy kiosk won't work for you. Instead, you'll be sent back to the regular line. Airlines are leading the rollout. Delta's system is live at hubs like Atlanta, JFK, and Los Angeles. United has it in Newark, Denver, and Chicago. American Airlines is testing in Phoenix and Miami. When it works, it feels like magic. Look at the camera, get the tag, walk away. Done. If the machine can't recognize you, maybe bad lighting or new glasses, you'll just be redirected to an agent. This is what the future of bag check looks like, but only if you take that step to opt in. This next upgrade sounds like something from a spy thriller, but it's real, and it's happening right now in major airports. Every time you walk through security, you're being scanned for explosives, and you don't even know it. The TSA has been quietly installing advanced sensors in the ceilings above security lanes. These devices constantly sample the air as you move through. They don't emit radiation, they don't stop you, and you never see them working. They're passive detectors, analyzing microscopic particles in real time to identify traces of explosive compounds. The technology is called trace detection. It works by capturing air samples and running them through spectral analysis. The system is programmed to flag chemical signatures of everything from TNT and C4 to unstable compounds used in makeshift explosives. If you've ever been pulled aside for a random swab test or extra pat-down, it may not have been random at all. Chances are, one of these hidden sensors detected trace chemicals on your clothing or your bag. This shift marks a dramatic change in airport security. It's silent, invisible, and always on. And for travelers, it's one more checkpoint you never see. On a similar note, artificial intelligence is now managing airport operations behind the scenes. AI-powered cameras track your movements from the moment you step inside. But these aren't ordinary surveillance cameras. They're designed to measure crowd density, predict bottlenecks, and automatically adjust how the airport runs, without you realizing it. Using a mix of visual feeds and thermal imaging, the system builds a live model of passenger flows. If congestion starts to build at a gate, staff get alerts. If lines slow down in one terminal, the AI updates digital signs to redirect passengers to another checkpoint. You won't notice these adjustments happening, but your journey may suddenly feel smoother, or sometimes oddly rerouted. Airports in Denver, Atlanta, Phoenix, and Seattle are already rolling this out. Officials insist that the cameras collect only anonymous movement data, not personal identities. According to them, the system doesn't know who you are, only where you walk, how long you wait, and where delays form. Still, it's a subtle but powerful shift. Artificial intelligence now dictates much of what you experience at the airport, even down to which security lane you're funneled into. And speaking of automation, here's a milestone you'll notice: the slow death of the boarding pass. Airlines are replacing paper tickets and mobile QR codes with facial recognition boarding. It's simple. You walk to the gate, glance at a camera, and a green light tells you you're cleared. No phone, no passport in hand, no paper ticket to lose. The camera matches your face against the biometric record linked to your passport in government databases. It's a one-to-one verification. Delta already uses this for flights to Europe and Asia out of its biggest hubs: Atlanta, JFK, Los Angeles. United uses it on routes to London, Frankfurt, Tokyo. American Airlines is spreading it in Miami and Phoenix. For now, it's mostly international flights, but domestic lines are adopting it too. What many travelers don't realize is that you can still opt out. If you're not comfortable, tell the gate agent. They'll take your boarding pass and check your ID the old-fashioned way. But the reality is clear. By the end of 2025, more than 50 international gates will default to facial recognition boarding. Whether you like it or not, your face is quickly replacing your boarding pass. After all those rules and security checks, here's finally some good news. A game-changing policy is starting to roll out at major airports worldwide, and it could save you hours during international travel. It's called one-stop security. Here's how it works. Certain countries have reached agreements to trust each other's airport security standards. That means if you're screened at your departure airport, your security check can be recognized at your connection point. Instead of going through another full screening mid-journey, you can stay inside the secure transit area and head straight from your arrival gate to your next departure. Think about what that means. No extra shoe removal, no unpacking laptops, no waiting in another long line during your layover. For travelers on multi-leg international trips, this can cut 2 to 3 hours off the journey. Airports like Amsterdam Schiphol, Frankfurt, and Dubai International are already leading the rollout. Airlines such as KLM, Lufthansa, and Emirates automatically enroll passengers who qualify when they book through these hubs. But there are rules. You can't have checked bags that need to be rechecked. You can't leave the secure zone at the airport and then try to come back. And typically, your connection must be within a 24-hour window. If you meet all that, you can move from one plane to the next without a second security stop. Now, while this saves time, the flip side is a growing set of new digital requirements and surprise travel fees. More countries are rolling out mandatory mobile apps for customs and immigration forms. And hidden charges are suddenly appearing where you might least expect them. Australia now requires all travelers to complete a digital passenger declaration via a mobile app before even boarding their flights. Skip it, and you'll be stuck filling paper forms on arrival, with delays that can stretch for hours. New Zealand applies a $35 international visitor conservation and tourism levy. Here's the tricky part. It's not added when you buy your ticket. Instead, it pops up later, during online check-in. Japan has introduced the Visit Japan web system, which requires travelers to pre-upload customs paperwork and vaccination records before boarding. Miss that step and you'll be slowed down at Tokyo or Osaka immigration. The United Kingdom's ETA system, it requires verification through their official app. No exceptions. Even worse, airlines are beginning to pass on these government requirements as extra service charges, things listed as digital processing fees or compliance charges. Usually $15 to $25 per ticket. These fees don't show up when you first book. They appear on the final payment screen, after you've already locked in your trip. So here's the lesson. In 2025 and beyond, packing your passport isn't enough. Your smartphone is just as essential. Download the official apps before your flight. Fill out digital forms at least 48 hours in advance. And budget for fees that your initial ticket price won't include. This is the new reality of air travel. It's not just about rules, it's about technology quietly reshaping your entire journey. So what does all of this mean for you as a traveler? Let's zoom out. Air travel in 2025 is no longer just about buying a ticket, packing your bags, and showing up on time. It's an entirely new ecosystem. automated, biometric, and controlled by digital systems from start to finish. Your face is now your boarding pass. Your smartphone is as important as your passport. Invisible scanners and artificial intelligence are shaping your journey in ways you may never even notice. And layered on top of it all, hidden fees and mandatory apps are adding both cost and complexity. The smartest travelers in this new era aren't just those who are punctual or well-packed. The new smart traveler is digitally prepared and privacy-aware. They know which mobile apps to download in advance. They know what their rights are when it comes to opting out of facial recognition. They know how to spot scam websites trying to charge inflated fees for necessary authorizations. More importantly, they stay informed. These changes are rolling out faster than most people realize. Some are already here, some are quietly starting behind the scenes, and some are about to redefine how you move through airports around the world. Because now, more than ever, what you know before you go is the difference between a smooth trip and a travel nightmare.